Hey, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share with you my round 2 game of the Cleveland Open. So that first game I was really excited about because I played a 1900, found a tactic, and won the game. So coming into round 2, which was Saturday morning at 11 a.m., I figured I would play somebody fairly strong, and I was correct. So I faced someone by the name of Davis Boinger. I think he's from Columbus, but I'm not sure. And he was rated 1993. So my rating was 1660. So, that's a 300-point difference. That's pretty significant. So I did get the white pieces again. No idea why. So I put down the move 1e4. So my opponent played c5. And of course, I went into the Morra Gambit. So he did accept the Gambit. And in this moment, I was very curious, how he would handle this Gambit. So he played e6, and I went knight f3, and he went a6, and I went bishop c4. These are my normal moves. I'm going to castle, and should black ever put their pawn on d6, I'll go queen e2 and then rook d1. That is my normal plan. If they don't put the pawn on d6, then there are other options. Okay, so here he played knight to c6. I castled. This is all normal so far. And then he went knight g to e7. So, okay, so it was basically, maybe in 2 moves out. I'm just going to be out of theory. I don't face this move that much, but I do know it to be a very good move. Mark Esserman calls this variation the professional's choice in his book, Mayhem in the Morra. And I did remember that against this move, Black's idea is to go knight to g6, develop their bishop, castle, and claim that they're just fine. Okay, so they're just trying to develop. When the knight comes to f6, it's subject to, e5 pushes. So that is why the knight comes here. Also, once the knight comes to g6, a lot of times black gets a nice hold on the e5 square. So, okay, what to do? Bishop g5. I pinned the knight, stopping knight g6. So I know this is the correct move, and we're saying if you want to unpin, you could do that. You can go f6 or h6, and then at least we have provoked a weakness on the king side that maybe we could use later. But he didn't do that. He played the move b5. So I have a question for you guys. What would you play here as white? Where would you put that bishop? Okay, and hopefully you paused your video and looked at this position. Yeah, you want to know something? You can actually sacrifice the bishop. Okay, I did not see this during the game, but I did look at it with the engine after, and white can actually take this. Or not with the bishop. Yeah, with the bishop. Okay. So the idea is that if he... Whoa, what the heck? The idea is if he accepts this, we will take with our knight, of course, just like in the opera game. And now we're threatening knight d6 checkmate. That's kind of annoying. But we're also eyeing up the c7 square. And this is kind of annoying for black. So black cannot play d6 because the knight is guarding that square. It's attacked twice, so we could just take the pawn. And if black were to go d5, which I did kind of see this far. I think I might have looked at this actually during the game. But I thought after d5, what am I doing? But it turns out that we could play bishop to f4, threatening, this check. And the line goes on from here. So like knight g6, allowing this. Black goes king d7. Now we can take the rook and just be better. Not winning, but better at least. But, well, they are attacking the bishop, right? So maybe this first. Now black could actually move the rook. Okay, it goes on from here, I'll say, but this is actually better for white. And if I get this position again, I am going to play it. I also made a flashcard of it. So I'll definitely be remembering this. All right. So instead of that, I played the natural move, bishop to b3. And, you know, this position was interesting to me because, well, I always like to look at what forcing moves my opponent has. And, like, I was seeing that, you know, he has moves like b5 and f6 or h6. So these moves kick my pieces around. And he also has, you know, maybe knight a5 attacking my bishop. It's just kind of an interesting position. So I thought he might try to do this b4 plan because my knight would be kicked away and then he could try to win this pawn. So I went bishop b3. I'll just show what happened in the game now. He went bishop to b7. That's usually why black plays b5. And I went queen to e2. Okay, so I'm defending my pawn, but not really though, because if and when he does kick my bishop, I don't know why it's doing that. If and when he kicks my bishop, I do plan to station the bishop on e3. That is the correct square for the bishop. I want to especially eye this square. Then in the event of b4, I have knight a4, and suddenly maybe I can occupy that that square. That's usually bad when that happens for black. But it's just an idea. Okay, so I played queen to e2. Yeah, I actually thought there might be something better here too, and I didn't find it. So again, if you want to pause your video and find the best move for white, it's not queen e2. Go ahead and do so now. Okay. Well, guess what? The move that the computer is giving is knight to d5, a thematic sacrifice. And it says that black cannot take this. So that's interesting, right? Like if black takes it, we take with a pawn. Now we're attacking that knight. The knight should move maybe to a5 where it attacks the bishop. But now we have d6, and this is usually the idea behind knight d5 if they take it. And sometimes I don't understand these lines because I don't have anything on the e file yet, but on the other hand, stuff can come to the e file really fast, so that should be fine. And plus the knight is pinned. So this looks very, very good, worth a piece at least. Now it says black should play this way, and I could just take with a queen even. And then, let's say they throw in f6. I could just go here. That would defend the pawn. And let's say they go knight d5, trying to save the knight. Well, I can just take that. Oh, no, I can't take it. It is defended. All right, so that attacks the bishop, but now we can throw in that check. And I mean, you can understand why, you know, this is like a bone, this is the bone in the throat variation. You know, like this is very annoying, and nothing can go to e7 without being taken, and probably black will have to get some material back. It says king f7 and rook ad1. Okay, now this is under attack, and all right, I don't want to go any further than this. These variations are sometimes very long, and you kind of have to just like play with the compensation and not necessarily see like to the very end. Okay, so knight d5 was the best move. What's interesting about that is this move is often, yes, often, you should know this if you play the Morra, the only move that you could play, sacking the knight, that holds any sort of advantage or even equality. So I always look at it, I didn't see it in this exact position. Instead, I went queen to e2, knight to a5. He's attacking my bishop, and I decided to simply put my rook in the center of the board. Okay, so I'm letting him take my bishop if he wants to. And I thought, you know, that would be fine. If he wants to do that, it does open up my rook at least. And he's kind of wasting a lot of time moving his knight around. So I thought it might be worth it for me to give that up. Okay. So after A takes B3, I thought, you know, position looks, you know, like a more position. It looks kind of equalish. And if black does manage to fully untangle, he'll be up a pawn. But look at the king, look at the knight. It's been, you know, it does look like black has a ways to go. And on the other hand, I'm fully coordinated. Now, the cold-hearted computer says that black is up a pawn. But that's if black plays absolutely perfectly and sees everything that white can do. Okay, so he played f6. This is a normal move in this line, even though it looks very weakening. I mean, of course it is. So I started looking at queen h5 check ideas, although I never got them to really work. Okay, so bishop b3 and knight to g6. So he has now completed his plan to get his knight on g6. He completed his plan to get his bishop out, and he completed his plan to eliminate my light square bishop. So black is accomplishing some things, but on the other hand, he's not developed yet and not castled, and he did have to play this weakening move, f6. So I think it remains a very interesting game. And now I have to figure out what on earth to do, how to proceed. So, okay, probably a key moment of the game. So once again, if you want to pause your video and tell me what you would play here, we'll call this moment number 3. Go ahead and do so now. Okay, well, I kind of thought if I just play some slow plan, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know, knight d4 maybe, or e5 looks kind of silly. If I try to double, if I do any of that, I thought black will simply go bishop e7 and castles. And I didn't like that so much. And after that, probably d5 is coming soon. And so, knight d5. I analyzed this for quite a while, and I couldn't find like a concrete reputation. So I slapped the knight up here. Okay, so I thought, you know, if he doesn't take the knight, I have a pretty big threat already. I would play bishop b6, attacking the queen, and when the queen moves, knight c7 check. So kind of that plan I mentioned earlier, it's there. So he probably does have to take the knight, you know, or so I thought. And he did. He, it was fun to watch a 1900 like squirm for a while, but I had a feeling that this move probably wasn't sound. But let's find out what happened, right? He did take the knight, so accepting my sacrifice. And of course, this looks very dangerous now. My queen is lined up with the king. I have discoveries. In fact, I'm threatening bishop b6 check right now. I'm also maybe threatening d6. So like, if for example, this and here, I'm going to win the piece back and probably be better. So, you know, interesting stuff here. And I'm sure he did think for probably 15 minutes or more on how to defend. And well, how to defend like before he took the knight. Okay, so let's continue. Queen to e7 was his choice, and I did see this as a possible move, and I thought it was probably pretty good. So here I thought I could play d6. What else? Yeah, I think I gotta play d6. So that's what I did. And he went queen to e4, which I didn't really expect. I actually expected this move, queen e6, and I was planning knight to d4. And I thought here I must have like pretty good compensation and might win material back. Like, I don't think he could take the pawn, for example, because I was thinking maybe knight f5 here. But I guess queen e6 again is just fine. I don't know. Maybe this instead. And then he would have to go here, and then maybe, I can't jump in there though. But I have discoveries now is the thing, right? So maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bishop b6 check or something. I thought, you know, if I got this, I would have stuff to play for at least. But he played here, which is pretty interesting. And the computer does like it, by the way. And this is a little more forcing because he's pinning my knight. If I move my knight away, like, I don't know where I would move it. If I try knight d4 now, I get mated. So I wasn't going to do that. But I did think this really invited rook to d4. And, you know, it's kind of, I wasn't really sure if that move is a better square for my rook or not. The downside to rook d4, which I did play, because what else, is that it does take that square away from the knight. So I didn't like that so much. But he retreated here. And now, you know, now I started looking around. I'm like, well, I'm not sure if I should have sacked my knight. It looks kind of tough to play from here, right? There's no like pin down the e-file. In fact, it's my bishop that's pinned. Maybe my rook is misplaced. It's hard to get my knight going. So I decided to play rook to e1, offering an exchange sacrifice. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I barely remember what I'm talking about. I was talking about this. Like, he could grab this pawn. I would take it with the rook. And when he takes back, I thought I could play something. Like maybe bishop f4 check or bishop c5 check, or, you know, some discovery that would be pretty interesting. Although I am wondering if he could just, I think I'd play this one because I just want to control that square. But then queen e6. Now I can move my queen though, and he'll be attacked. Maybe queen d2 or queen d1. And this looks pretty irritating. But the problem with this is he probably can sack his queen if he wants to. Or, yeah, like, for example, the computer's giving this move. So I think he could do this. And when I take the queen and he takes back, I do take back here, but do I really have enough? I mean, he has two rooks and a knight. I've got a queen and a bishop, but look at the pawns. And he probably will castle. Next move, well, no, he can't castle, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know. It actually says that black's only slightly better here. But it does mean that I don't have anything winning. But maybe that was kind of good to do. It actually says that in this position he should go queen e6, and on queen d2 he should go bishop to e4. Wait, not that move. Oh, this. It's like interference defense. Look at that move. I mean, I would go knight d4. So what's the idea? Because I'm going to go f3 or whatever, and the queen's attacked. So it says queen to d5. Pinning my knight. Oh my god. Attacking the bishop. Pinning the knight. Yeah, I can't really take the bishop. I don't know. Very interesting, right? But this, I have to learn more about how to see these defensive moves. So these are all going to be flashcards for me. I'm going to make like 6 flashcards on this game or something. Okay, so rook to e1 though is the top engine choice. So, you know, I got to do something, right? Line up the rook with all this stuff. Okay. So knight to e5, I did expect this move. It's a bit of a buzzkill move. And I just went queen d1. And now king to f7. So, okay, guys, it's starting to look pretty bleak here. I was seeing a lot of tactics here. I couldn't seem to make them work. I mean, this is a fork if I can make it work somehow. Like, I could play bishop g5, which would be funny, but he doesn't have to take it. You see what I mean? Like, that would be sad, but, you know, this is an expert level player. He's not gonna do something that silly. Like, he could also take my knight anytime, so, like, I have to, also, if I move my queen away at any moment, then my bishop is pinned, and I might lose my rook. I'm not really sure, but during the game, I was more sure that this is just a bad position. So I figured I had to take the knight. I did not want to do that, but I thought I would play f4 and go for that kind of play. Move the rook, g6. Okay, and I'm going to go a little bit faster through this part of the game. You probably are not surprised to know that I had about, I don't know, like 1 minute on my clock at this point. Used all my time trying to find something. And he had like 40 minutes or 20 minutes or something ridiculous. So I had to play pretty quickly, but he started playing quickly as well. Okay, he's gonna castle by hand, looks reasonable. So I played f5, he took it. I threw in a check, but I do not want to trade queens. And after this move, queen g4, now I have to trade queens. I don't see a way not to, so I took. But I still felt like there's some pressure at least on the bishop. The bishop is pinned after all, and maybe I could win a pawn or something. And just, well, to be honest with you guys, I kind of felt like resigning here. Like, but I talked myself, well, I heard my own voice, never resign. Might have heard Ben Feingold's voice too. Like, I teach my students never resign. I always say never resign. Maybe I should practice what I preach and just play. So I did that. I kept playing. I'm going to attack the pinned bishop. You know, I've got this, I got this. But he kind of sidestepped that. Bishop's still pinned, but now bishop to g7. So this rook is sufficiently defended now. And I do not think I should trade everything. That would be very silly. So I took a pawn instead. At least I got a pawn, right? He takes, I take. So this is looking pretty bad. In fact, rook f8 check is what I would play. But I do have, you know, something to play for. I have this, there's pieces on the board. I can look for tricks, and I've got this 2 versus 1. I mean, I doubt it's anything, but whatever. Okay, so he wants to trade rooks. I said, no, thank you. And then he played bishop to h6. And you're not going to believe this, but I actually played rook g5 on purpose because I saw that he might do this. And I got to slap down the move, rook g6 check. And that, my friends, is a forkarooski. So that was pretty surprising. And let it be a lesson to you players out there that try to play fast to put pressure on your opponent that's low in time, because you might blunder too when you're doing that. And that is what my opponent did, and he stepped right into this. So I got to win material back. So at this part of the game, I was like, wow, never resign for sure. But I still didn't know if this was losing for me or not. It's certainly better. So it's huge progress, right? We have opposite colored bishops, and we have, let's see, he has 5 pawns. I have 5 pawns. My pawns are pretty terrible on this side of the board, though. His king's more active. I mean, I think black's, you know, better. But I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. Okay, so now he's up a pawn. Check. Just going to show you what happened in this part of the game. I decided to let him have that pawn so I could take this one, because I do know that if you want to draw, you should trade pawns. So I thought I at least got some pawns off the board. Okay, I could defend that one. And I can push my pawn. I do have a passed pawn. Now, I had no idea if I was losing or drawing here. I had no idea. Because this plan looks pretty compelling, and he has an extra pawn after all. So, okay. Wow. Okay, well, I didn't know this, but King C2 is a winning move for black. It's the only winning move for black, keeping my king out of here. My king has to be part of that. Instead, he did this, and my king got to D2, and now it's actually a draw. But of course, knowing this is a draw now is nice, but I didn't know that during the game. So I'm just like, my God, I don't know what to do. Just gonna try to defend, you know, everything best I can. So I knew this was coming. I don't think he wanted to have a rook pawn, but it did allow my king over. So now my king is guarding these two squares. Now, because his king is here defending B2, I have to keep my bishop on this diagonal. I knew that much. Because if this ever comes, I need to take it with the bishop. And if I don't, I lose. So I knew that. And I also knew that my king needs to be close enough to stop this pawn too. So, and you know, if this pawn's running, I could sack my bishop, and then if as long as I win both of them, it's a draw. So, okay. So this happened, and I think about here I offered a draw maybe a little earlier, and my opponent just said, well, I have a few ideas still. And I said, okay. So we played on. Of course, I was playing on increment all this time. But 30-second increment, that's nice for me because I'm always in time pressure. And you can build up time with 30-second increments. So at times I like had over 2 minutes again. So it's pretty nice. And so he's trying a different configuration. He's going to march his king and try to assist this pawn. And I have to reorganize. So his king's coming in this way now. I'm just making sure this is a draw. I'm looking at the engine. What the heck is my computer doing? Oops, sorry. Okay, so once again, I have to keep an eye on that. I have to keep an eye on this and this. So a cute little move by him, probably hoping I would snatch the bishop, and then he queens and I lose, so I didn't do that. I did see he could play that move before he played it, so that was good. Yeah, and it was here that I offered a draw once again, and well, he agreed. So always sacrifice and never resign. Those are my rules. Can't believe I survived this game, but I'm sure my opponent's kicking himself because, I mean, he should have won this. It was, where was the moment? It was the moment where, I mean, all hope is lost in this position. And I honestly was lucky that he made this blunder. And then I'm lucky that he didn't find the endgame win too with King C2. Yeah, I think in this position, was it here? Where was it? Yeah, King C2 right here. I allowed it again right here. and now it's too late. So he had to keep my king out. Very instructive stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I mean, it was pretty exciting. Give me credit that way. But now I'm getting ready to, well, I'm going to post my other Cleveland Open games. So those will be coming. And then I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, and I'll be playing over the board chess at Parma Chess Club tonight. So I'll get 3 more rapid games, and I'll likely post those as well. So lots of chess content coming. So I hope you're enjoying this, and I will be back. Okay, bye.